Welcome to episode 219 of the XS Noize Podcast, your go-to destination for in-depth conversations with the biggest names in music. I'm your host, Mark Millar. Thanks for listening. In this episode, I sit down with Simon Fowler, frontman of Ocean Colour Scene, to talk about his journey, the band's legacy, and much more. If you missed the last episode, I had a fantastic chat with Graham Coxon and Rose Eleanor Dougal from The Wave. So check it out. If you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to follow for free on your favourite streaming platform, leave a rating and drop a comment. It really helps us keep bringing you great conversations. Now, let's get into it. Ocean Colour Scene is one of the most successful and beloved bands of the modern era. A defining force in Britpop, they scored 3 consecutive top 5 albums with Moseley Shoals, Marchin Already, and One from the Modern, along with 9 consecutive top 20 singles. As they prepare to hit the road for a UK tour at the end of March, Simon Fowler and drummer Oscar Harrison have also announced a new run of acoustic shows this autumn, building on the success of their critically acclaimed stripped-back performances. In this interview, Simon Fowler discusses the band's upcoming live dates, he reflects on their classic albums and greatest songs, and reveals that new music is in the works. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the XS Noize Podcast with Simon Fowler from Ocean Colour Scene. So Simon, welcome back to the XS Noize Podcast. It's great to have you back on again. The last time we spoke, it was your first ever podcast, which is hard to believe.
Yeah, I'm still not quite sure what they are, to be quite honest, but I know they're very popular. I know Gary Lineker's making a lot of money out of them, so good I am.
So Ocean Colour Scene will be back on the road beginning the end of March. Now, Ocean Colour Scene has always been a powerhouse live band. What can fans expect from the upcoming tour? And are you approaching these shows differently compared to previous shows?
We're changing the set around a little bit. I think we're going to do a little acoustic bit in the middle, which I was quite like doing. And we'll play the songs that people will know, some ones that we haven't played for a long time. You know, I think that when a band plays live, that the crowd are going to see songs they know and they like. I think gigs are for the crowd, you know, because let's face it, if there wasn't a crowd there, we wouldn't be on stage.
Yeah, true. With such a deep back catalogue, how do you decide which songs make the set list? Are there any hidden gems you're particularly excited to bring back this time?
Yeah, there are some that we haven't played, but I won't reveal. I won't reveal what they are. Half the set writes itself, doesn't it? You know, we wouldn't get out alive if we didn't play Riverboat the day we caught the train. So they can expect them.
Is there a song you love but never play live because it doesn't translate well on stage?
Well, there's a song that I play with Oscar. It's The Circle. But Oscar and I play it as a piano ballad. And don't tell Steve, but I prefer that version. But
yeah, I have heard that. It's a great version.
Yeah, but when we play with the band, we play it as it was on the record, you know. But, I mean, that was quite a special recording for Steve anyway, because the end of it was he's got the guitar solo. He trades lead with Weller. So that was a nice moment for Steve back in 96, you know. He grew up, Paul was Steve's idol, you know, and now he's his best pal and he's been in a band with Paul since 93. So it's a bit of a fairy tale. Their 2 lads are sharing a flat at the moment as well in London. I can just imagine what fun they're having.
I know Steve probably played more with Paul Weller than he has with Ocean Colour Scene these days.
Well, yeah, quite possibly. I mean, Paul's an absolute workaholic, isn't he? He just continue. He means an album every week. Steve is currently producing an album for Paul. It's a large acoustic album, and I think it's all covers. Might be all covers. I think it is. And Steve's either producing or co-producing it with Paul. But I think it's rather lovely. Lovely that it worked out for him. You know, feel like me producing Neil Young.
Well, Ocean Colour Scene has played so many legendary venues. Are there any stops on this tour you're particularly looking forward to?
Well, we always like Ireland. We haven't played. Where are we playing? Are we playing Belfast? I take it.
You're playing 2 nights in the Ulster Hall, and then in June, you're supporting Madness.
Oh, right, yeah. And I'd heard that was on the cards. I phoned up Steve and I said, what do you reckon to this supporting Madness? He thinks, of course he is. I love Madness. He grew up with Madness. Steve's a sort of grew up a mod, and they just about cut it as mods because they all wore suits. So he was absolutely over the moon. Ulster Hall, I'm trying to think if I can remember Ulster Hall. There's so many gigs that we've played. I'm trying to think the last place we played in it wasn't the Ulster Hall.
It was the Telegraph Building.
That sounds about right.
And it was rammed.
Yeah, it's a great night. That was, yeah. It's great, and we're playing in the south as well. We're playing in Dublin and Limerick, and obviously a real good stomping ground for us is Scotland. It's always been I don't know why, but it has always been. They love us. We're honorary Scots.
You're bringing Coolie Shaker along as special guest on some dates. So how did that collaboration come about, and what excites you most about sharing the stage with them?
Well, we've known Coolie Shaker since we both came out probably around about the same time. I think we were before Coolie Shaker. In fact, I remember we used to play a gig in Bedford called Bedford Esquires. It was the first time that we realised that things were actually going to go well for us. Had a 500 capacity, and Crispin's first band before Coolie Shaker, they supported us. So I wonder if he remembers that. But I saw them, bumped into them at Portsmouth a couple of 3 years ago. And they're an exciting live band, aren't they? I mean, they're more.
Yeah.
What's good about it? They're more 60s than we are. So they're going to make us look modern. They're going to make us look like Charlie XL5 or whoever he is.
As I mentioned at the start, you and Oscar have just announced a 14-date acoustic tour this autumn. Now, you've described these shows as having an after-hours sing-along feel. So what challenges come with stripping back the songs for an acoustic setting?
It doesn't. We've been doing this for more than 20 years now, me and Oscar. It actually started off because when we were thinking, well, Steve's off with Paul, so what should we do? So, well, how about if we, because this is how I write the songs. Obviously not Riverboat, which is why we don't play Riverboat. People say, why aren't you playing Riverboat? I say, because I can't. I can't play it. Steve can. Mm-hmm. I can't. Mm-hmm. So but this is how I write the songs. I sit down with a tape player and an acoustic guitar and see what happens, So, yeah, that's how the songs came about. And Oscar plays the piano and bass. And his son now, Leon, plays percussion and backing vocals with us. So it's a 3-piece now. And that's added a real nice dynamic to it because it can become a little bit sort of, it's all acoustic. It can become a bit, it's easy to make them slow, make it a nice sort of slow thing. But now we've got Leon on board. So we've got a cajon, which is like a pretend drum kit, all in one. Which is great because it normally takes about 3 hours to set the blasted drum kit up on our stage, isn't it? So it's brilliant. Yeah. Whoever invented that should be knighted.
Well, given the intimate nature of the acoustic tour, do you find yourself reminiscing more between songs?
Oh,
Are there any particular stories or memories you enjoy sharing with the audience?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a reasonable raconteur, and Oscar thinks I bang on too much, actually. But yeah, I try to link stories, obviously, with the songs or with the town that we're in. I always look up the town that when we're on, say we're going up to Stockton-on-Tees or something with me and Oscar, or actually we are going up with the band, I'll Google it on my phone and find out all about the town, just in case there's anything that I can say that is of interest to the crowd or interest about the venue. And and it's nice. And also we get to sit down. I'm 60 in May, so that's actually quite nice to sit down.
I actually enjoy sitting down at gigs these days myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so do I. One of the best gigs I ever saw in terms of enjoying it would be about 89, 90, because it was an album. Lou Reed had just put an album called New York, and he played at the London Palladium, and it was all seated. And I thought, I hate to say this, but this is really nice. This is,
Yeah. Over the years, how has your approach to performing live changed? Do you still get the same buzz stepping on stage as you did in the 90s?
I don't know, because it was new. It was new, and we were sort of little mini pop stars, weren't we? It is different, and it is different as you get older. But you still get this appreciation from seeing the look on the crowd's faces and realizing what it means to them. And also, I just turn around and look at Craddock, who I think is probably one of the best guitar players around. And I think, Jesus Christ, I taught you everything you know. I thought. See, when I met Steve, he wasn't a guitar player; he was a bass player,
Right.
and he could play a bit of acoustic. Could play acoustic, like a Bob Dylan song. So when it came to auditioning him to join the three of us who were already in Ocean Killer Scene, who were in a previous band called the Fanatics, Steve went down to London for the weekend, stayed at a friend's house, and learned how to play Hey Joe. So we went to the audition in his garage where his dad and him had built a rehearsal room. He played Hey Joe, and I said, "You're in."
You've got a dedicated fan base that spans generations. Have you noticed a shift in the demographics in your audiences over the years?
Well, we now get kids at the front who are 15, 16, and behind them are their parents who were 15 and 16 when they used to come see us. And then at the back, you got the old hippies, sort of like near the exit in case, they get palpitations or something, they can make a quick exit. Right? So it's definitely, it's from cradle to grave, our demographic. It's quite great. And I think the kids, they grew up on their parents' record collections. And I think you're seeing exactly the same thing with the Oasis ticket sales. Is that all the middle-aged people were all going, what are all these kids buying to get the tickets up first? How dare they? Well, they've grown up listening to their parents' record collections. And I suppose the Oasis news has perhaps galvanized an interest in that era. You still got the cast. They're still great. Richard Ashcroft is still going strong, still playing big places, and Neil Young's headlining Glastonbury. And there's, but the thing is, there's lots of young bands who really I don't really know. I don't know them. I mean, that Charlie X, the X, she's just won the 5 BAFTAs, not BAFTAs.
Brit Awards.
Brit Awards, yeah. I don't know anything by her. But she's going head-to-head with Neil Young. He's on the big stage and she's on the second stage at Glastonbury. So you have all the youngsters can go and see her, and all the old gnarled people like me can put on their check shirts and go and see Neil and have a smoke.
What's the most memorable gig disaster you've experienced? One that still makes you laugh or cringe?
Big disaster. Oh,
yeah.
Dear me, disasters. I'm trying to think. There's been a couple where there's sound, where the whole bad sound system's gone down. That's it. There was one that we played in Glasgow, actually, and the sound system never came on. We thought it was going to, but they were building it was in Edinburgh. They're building the trams at the time, and the people went straight through the main power system for the whole street. This is 10 to 9. We're still thinking we won't be going on. And then we found out we're not going on. And our tour manager has to go on in front of 3,000 drunken Scots and inform them that they're all going home without us playing. And we had to get a police escort out. But I remember the first, when we played Oasis gig at Nebworth, that was the most nervous I've ever been before going on. I was shaking, literally shaking. And our manager at the time was Steve's dad, a guy called Chris Craddock. And he was holding what we used to call a cine camera, a handheld cine camera.
Yeah.
So I went up and said, what do you do with that? He said, just hold it and press this button. So I got hold of it and I walked to the front of the stage and filmed the crowd. And they all went like this. And I thought, what's for that? And I don't remember a single thing about the gig, apart from right at the end, we was doing all Day We Caught the Train, and there was 125,000 sets of arms in the air, all singing, oh, la, la, la. That's pretty memorable, but the rest of the gig is a total blank. One of the biggest things we ever did, and I can't remember a blasted thing about it.
Well, you've played on stage with legends like Paul Weller, as you mentioned, and Noel Gallagher. Who's the most unpredictable musician to share a stage with?
Well, I should imagine probably Liam has got to be out there, isn't he? Because you never know what he's going to pull next. I don't know, to be quite honest. The thing is, on stage, to be quite honest, everyone kind of, I don't want to use the word professional because it sounds a bit boring, doesn't it? But everyone is kind of pretty good on stage because, well, yeah. I guess Liam is, you never know what you might get with him. No, I mean, Paul's a consummate, he's a brilliant musician and he's a great performer. I never had someone do a strop and walk off or anything. I don't know.
Ocean Colour Scene have recorded 10 studio albums. So let's do a quick sort of fire round. I'll name an Ocean Colour Scene album and you give me the first word or memory that comes to mind. Is that okay?
Yep.
Marchin Already.
Right. I was in Japan doing sound check. The band was on stage and I walked in and Chris Craddock was at the front of the stage watching the sound check. And they were working out it hadn't been written yet, but they were working out this new thing called 100 Mile High City. I remember Chris said to me, "You give me a song over that, and I will get it on every sports program in Britain." Well, 2012 Olympics come round, and they use it on a Barclaycard advert, I think it was. And the star of the Barclaycard is Usain Bolt. He's the fastest man who ever lived, trying to keep up with Steve's guitar. That was pretty fair enough.
And it was also in Lockstock, wasn't it?
That's
or
right.
Snatch.
That's right, yeah.
Lockstock or Snatch, one of them.
Lockstock, yeah.
It also knocked Oasis Be Here Now off the top of the charts.
It did, yeah. Noel sent us a plaque to the second best band in Britain.
Let's talk about Mechanical Wonder.
Yeah, I wrote that song on a canal, walking my dog. It's great walking and writing because you write songs often at walking speed in 4/4. That's what in the New Orleans, after church, they used to walk all down to the Central Square and all the church bands used to play and I used to all walk down there and meet. And if you think about it, they're playing at walking pace. The other thing is that the rhythm I got from, I don't know if this is going to mean anything to you. I don't know how old you are, but there's a children's program when I was a kid called Camberwick Green. And there's a character called Windy Miller. And the sound of his windmill goes, and that sort of bass Mechanical Wonder on.
Well, North Atlantic Drift.
That was the North Atlantic Drift. Atlantic Drift. What's the front cover of that one? That's Durdle Door. Yeah, that's filmed at Durdle Door. And I like that song, North Atlantic Drift. I think it's one of the best lyrics I've ever written. Actually,
right.
we play that. We play that regularly. Oscar and I play that one as well, acoustically. Yeah, I really like that. We went down to Durdle Door, which is down on the south coast in Dorset. And that photograph, if you look at it, it's the one with the yellow flash. That is actually a mistake.
Right.
It's where something went wrong. And yeah, you see it, it's all distorted and wrong. We said, we like that one. The photography said, hang on, that's a mistake, that one. So we like it. We'll go with that one, mate.
And Damon Mancella left the band around this album.
Yeah.
So how did Damon's exit impact the band, both musically and personally?
It's a shame Damon left us. It all happened in Ireland. I don't really want to... Let's not go into the story. But anyway, Damon's doing great. He carried on playing with Paul, and then he played with The Who for a bit. And now he's currently playing with Richard. So Damon gets to tour with Oasis, and we don't... I bet he'll love that. But we saw him. He was on the side of the stage the other year or so ago. We were supporting Richard at I can't think where it was, at an open air event, and he was on the stage. It was real nice to see him. And so well, I'd love to have a drink with Damon. It was him and me who started the band.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So how do you view Damon's contribution to Ocean Colour Scene's legacy?
Well, it was the four of us. The whole idea that we were a gang. And you must remember that before Damon left, we'd been together for 10 years. And I'd been in a band before Ocean Colour Scene, 2 bands with Damon. And I'd known Damon since he was about 16. So yeah, there's a place in my heart for Damon. It's just a shame that it ended really, but that these things happen,
Yeah. That's bands, isn't it? It's bands for you.
Yeah. There's so few bands actually who've got the original members, all together. That's why I admire you two. Still the four guys. And what really annoys me about you two is that they're about 2 years older than me. I think, how can that be? And you look at them, was their first record, would it have been 79 or 80? It's got to be 80.
Yeah, boy.
They were about 17, 18. But jeez, Christ, and the four of them have stuck together and they conquered the world, So good on you too.
Last one we'll mention is Saturday from 2010.
Yeah, we recorded that down at, a legendary studio in South Wales. No, Mid Wales. Rockfield. Called it out at Rockfield. Rockfield was the first ever residential studio in the world, and it's still run by the same old farmer bloke.
Yeah, that's right.
I think he's still alive, actually, I think. And so that was quite a buzz, that was, going down to Rockfield. I wanted to call the album Rockfield. It's the opening track on the album, I think. And it starts off, Meet Me at the Gatehouse. Now, the Gatehouse was a pub on the bridge, blue pub. And I was going down, and Dan Seeley, who was playing in the band with us at the time, whose sister is married to my brother. So we're great friends, me and Dan. And he was behind me. He said, "Where are you?" I said, "Meet me at the Gatehouse." And that's where that opening line came from. And that's where Dave Edmonds used to be the local hero down there. You know, the guy who did I Hear You Knocking.
Yes.
He did Rock Pile with Nick Lowe. Yeah. He's the Gatehouse's celebrity.
I know on that album, it's a particular favourite of mine, Magic Carpet Days, and then obviously the title track, Saturday. Great tracks.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're doing that one on the tour, Magic Carpet Days. We haven't done it for a while. I remember Evans played it on his radio show. He said, I've counted Simon Sings Magic Carpet Days 32 times. Oh, Christ. So, yeah, it is a bit repetitive, actually, yeah.
I think I might know the answer to this one, but I'll ask you anyway. If you could pick one Ocean Colour Scene album that best defines the band, which one would it be and why?
Well, I guess blimey, what's it called?
Moseley Shoals?
Moseley Shoals. I guess that's an obvious answer. Personally, my favourite album is the B-Sides album. The B-Sides,
Seasides and Free Rides?
Free Rides, yeah. Because it's I think it shows another side to the band, because you see people just think of us as being like this mod or riffing electric band, which we can do, but for every one of them, there's a Mrs. Jones or a Cool Cool Water or something, which are two songs that me and Steve actually recorded together in Los Angeles. The first studio I'd ever been to where you weren't allowed to smoke. I said, "Are you joking?" Of course, we'd been down to Snoop's dealer. What do you mean you can't smoke? This is a no smoking facility, sir. I said, "Can you imagine Sergeant Pepper being made here? You American."
Mona Lisa's Eyes, another fantastic B-side, by the way. I just have to mention that. It's my favourite.
Yeah. Do you know who plays drums on that?
Who?
That's Jimmy Miller.
Right.
The guy who produced the Rolling Stones from 67 to about 73. Him, Steve, and me recorded that in a studio in Birmingham called Zeller. And I love that song, but after a while I thought, I've got this wrong, haven't I? She's not famous for her eyes. She's famous for her smile.
Yeah, but her eyes do follow you around the room.
Oh, good. Like Kitchener's. Yes, your country beats you. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that. But it's a Mona Lisa smile. You've got Mona Lisa. It's a smile. Now, eyes sounds better. I'll stick with eyes. Yeah.
Well, it's done. You can't change it.
No, it's set in shellac. Yeah.
If people want to understand the music of Ocean Colour Scene, what are the 5 songs they should listen to?
Oh, Jesus. Well, it's got to be Riverboat. I would say Fleeting Mind. That's one of Oscar's favourites. And it doesn't sound like any of our contemporaries.
Yeah.
Everyone obviously lumped us in with the Britpop movement simply because we were there at the time. And it was an easy, bit of journalese, isn't it? And also it gave them an opportunity to replay the Beatles and the Stones. That's what the press loved it. Oh, blimey. 100 Mile City, acoustic version of Circle, and anything else I'll write next.
Well, are you writing anything next? Have you been writing?
That was a good cop out. That was, wasn't it? No, I've been trying to. I've got lots of ideas. I wrote loads of lyrics. But no, I haven't got. We've got one or two things actually. We have got one or two things. In fact, we've got about 3 proper songs, and then we've got this medley of all of these different songs that I recorded, and we put them straight off in order. And Steve's been working on them. I think we were kidding ourselves. Well, let's see, put them together. Let's see if we can do a bit of an Abbey Road B-side kind of vibe, where one song bleeds into the next. So we'll see how that goes.
And would that be for an EP release or a potential album?
For an album, I think. Yeah. Well, that compilation's 15 minutes long, so it can't be an EP.
Yeah, well, it's about time you released an album, so hopefully it'll not be long.
It's about time, isn't it? It's got to be more than 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, Painting was the last album.
That's it. Yeah, that's right.
You've written songs that have become anthems for a generation. Are there any tracks that you initially doubted, but later saw fans connected with them really deeply?
Well, we certainly never thought Riverboat was going to do what it did. That album was originally recorded with the idea of releasing it in Japan only on a label called Pony Canyon. They were going to print 15,000 copies. That deal, we got in touch with them through Paul, who was going to do also a deal, I think, with Pony Canyon. I think I've got that right. Anyway, that all fell through for some reason. And I don't know how it happened, but Chris Craddock got in touch with a guy called Johnny Walsh, who's at MCA. And he knew that Johnny was a big Paul Weller fan. Well, Paul was at our studio that day, and he was doing the organ on Riverboat. So Chris just happened to invite Johnny to come down on that day, which is a nice coincidence. And that was it. That clinched the deal. So we thought it would be some kind of underground, like a Northern Soul style dance club groove.
Yeah.
Went in at 15. Chris Evans played it for 2 weeks on his morning radio show as the record of the week. And then the album came out and went in at number 2. So that we never, ever expected that in a million years. So that's one that sort of is now one of our signatures, isn't it, really? Yeah. And it's been the signatures for the 90s because of Chris's show. But it's true that without Chris, none of this would have happened. Saint Chris of Ocean Colour Scene. Yeah, lovely bloke. I still, every time I see him, it's like we're still best buddies. So thank you to, really is. Without him, Noel and Liam and Paul had been really supportive and great fun to be with. But it was Chris. Without Chris, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and the band went on to have 17 top 40 singles, including an amazing run of 9 successive top 20 hits. When you were in the middle of all that success, did it feel as big as it looks in hindsight?
I don't know, to be honest, because we were so busy. We're traveling a lot. We're playing, obviously, a lot. We were recording. We were doing radio. We were doing press. We were doing photo shoots. We were doing TV. We were staying up all night in hotel rooms. I knew that something had happened. We knew something had happened, obviously we did. We knew something had happened when we went to the Albert Hall and saw our name in lights over there, that felt special. And I remember also when we played the NEC in Birmingham, which is 12,500, and the Evening Mail, which is the local Birmingham paper, who I used to work for as a journalist.
That's right, yeah.
Were out selling a special edition of the Evening Mail to the punters who were going in with a wraparound on the front of our photograph, an Ocean Colour Scene special version of the Evening Mail. I thought, I think we've done it. We've done it. And Roy Wood got up on stage and we did Blackberry Way with him, so that was pretty special. So yeah, I knew we'd done it. But it was, it's like it's all the cliches. It's a whirlwind. It's a roller coaster, and it kind of was. But it was more fun than a roller coaster because I'm scared of heights. But I wasn't scared of late nights. Now that's a lyric.
Keep that for the new album.
Yep.
Just a few more, Simon. I like to ask my guests the following questions. For us music fans, music is the soundtrack to our memories. What song or album, when you listen to it, brings back the best memories for you?
Well, I grew up with the Beatles singles. So by the time I was 6, I knew the B-sides. I knew You Can't Do That and all that type of stuff. First record I bought was Yellow River by Christie. I remember that. But my first record that I loved and the first band I loved that was my band was in the summer of 70, and that was Mungo Jerry. And obviously then listened to pop Radio 1 like kids do for my age group, Paul Burnett's and all that lot. And the first album that then we had 2 albums, my older brother and me. My older brother is 2.5 years older than me. I've got another brother 6 years younger. So Nicholas and I really grew up listening to contemporary at the same time music. We had 2 albums. We had Rubber Soul and we had Bridge Over Troubled Water. But the album that changed my life was when I was 14. I was off school with this real bad cold. I was off school for about 2 weeks with the flu. And Nick got me a copy of, who he borrowed off a family member, of Decade by Neil Young. And I hated it at first. I thought, he sings like a girl. But my voice hadn't broken at the time properly, so I could actually sing higher than Neil. Well, within 2 days, I absolutely adored him. And that changed my life. I learned every song on that album on the guitar. And it still remains to me, if I had to make a choice, which album would you take to a desert island? It would be impossible, because it would be between a toss-up between that and the White Album by the Beatles. See them from Birmingham, because with both of those albums, you get good value for money, don't you? One's got 3 records, the other's got 2.
What are you listening to right now? Is there any artists or songs? Neil Young?
Last night I was listening to Tonight's the Night album by Neil Young, yeah. I don't really listen to contemporary music. I don't really know anything about it. I don't know anything. I don't even know if there's charts, and if there are charts, how. I think it was lost of the blessed generation. Really, we made our living from selling records instead of being paid threepence for 1 million streams. I don't know how young bands actually do it now, because we used to make money from records and go on tour to promote the album. And I think now it's definitely the other way around.
Yeah.
The record labels have done is they do what's called a 360 degree arrangement, which is, I think, a 360 degree ripoff, because they take percentage of your live work as well. That never happened. It was all down to the record split, which we got 14% of each album sold, which sounds dreadful, but actually was quite reasonable. It was quite a good deal. Also, the record shops got quite a bang, and obviously then the record labels. But the record labels, to be fair, had stumped up all the money, which they weren't sure they'd ever recoup. So I don't understand it now, and I suspect that's why there are so many solo acts. I mean, you got 1975 who are headlining. You got this new guy, Sam Fender, who I was listening to the other day. I just heard he sold 3 nights out at St. James's Park. So good on him.
Yeah.
Great name as well. I'm not sure if it's his real name, but I hope it is. Him and old Billy Gibson,
The new album's great. Fantastic album.
Yeah, it's got fabulous reviews. So I might get investing into that. And I was speaking to a guy a couple of days ago from Newcastle, and he said he can't walk around this lad now in Newcastle without being mocked. And he's basically a working class hero, So great, that's nice. But no, I honestly, I'm kind of boring. I listen to the old stuff, that I listened to as a kid. Stones, I listened to Patti Smith last night as well. Horses. It's an extraordinary album.
Yeah. Looking back at Ocean Colour Scene's journey, if you could go back and relive one musical moment so far, what would it be?
It might have been nebulous and hoping that I could actually remember it. But a hell of a lot of Peroni has passed underneath the bridge, Or it'd be nice to relive. Stirling Castle was lovely. It's all up in Scotland. We did 3 nights up there. And obviously, as I said, the Albert and the NEC, but maybe also the first time we went on Top of the Pops. And I'd like to have gone back and try to enjoy it, because what a bore that was. In them days, you got there at 8:30 in the morning because we were the new boys. We went on and did our sound check first. In them days, you did 2 sound checks. One was at about 9:30, 10 o'clock. There was one at about 4 o'clock. And then it was filmed at about 7 o'clock, something like that. And what was disappointing about it was, number one, all the lads they could drink as much as they wanted all day because they were miming. I wasn't. I was doing a live vocal, and the live vocal on Riverboat is quite tricky. It's quite difficult to not sound rubbish. We went and checked out where the EastEnders set was, because it was all up at Elstree. Bumped into the EastEnders crew in the canteen. But it was boring as hell. And what was really surprising about it was there's about 30 people in the audience. It's like, what? But with clever camera work, it looks like it's rocking, doesn't it? It wasn't at all. Wasn't at all.
Anybody that I speak to and they mention Top of the Pops, they always say more or less what you said.
It was still fantastic, to be honest, because I remember my older brother and me went. The first time I ever saw Top of the Pops, I was 5. And my mum said to me, and my older brother was having tea in the kitchen, the blue Formica table, lino floor. She said, "There's a treat for you tonight." I said, "All right, what's that?" There's a program called Top of the Pops. I think it was on at 7 o'clock. And there was Nick and I in our pajamas dancing behind the settee. The first number one I remember was I Was Born Under a Wandering Star by Lee Marvin. So anyone of my age, it is a magical, Top of the Pops is magical, and it always will be. Yeah.
Can you remember who was on with you the first time?
I can't. I remember a bit later, we was a Dinah Ross walked past our dressing room, and we offered her a spliff. She said, "Oh no, I don't do that, guys." Yeah, so I remember her. She looked just like sensational. The sensational Miss Ross. She looked exactly as you'd hope. But the last time we were on, I remember that we were the most experienced band on, and all these other young bands had come out. I don't know what they are. Never heard of them. Half of them sound like they're a type of Ford Capri, with all initials after their names and stuff like that. I was like, who the hell is this lot? And then of course it stopped, which is a damn shame.
Yeah.
It's a damn shame, because when you look now, I mean, Chris's show, TFI Friday, I mean, that was the Ready, Steady, Go for the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The weekend starts here. It was beautifully timed. All the kids had come home from school. All the workers had come home from work. All watch that, get ready, and go out and do their thing on Friday night. So it worked beautifully. And there's nothing like that now. I mean, the nearest, I guess, is
Jules Holland, I think.
Well, it's Jules. That's I know his program is different, but it's magnificent.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I remember there's a band, and they were at number 1. I think they were called The Script.
Irish band.
Script. Right, okay. And they were on the Alan Titchmarsh show at about 3:30 in the afternoon. So what? The Titchmarsh show? And then I suddenly thought, Christ, you know why? Because there's nothing else. And that was shocking, really. Terrible.
You've had the charts hits, the sold out tours, and the legendary status. What keeps you wanting to do this after all these years?
Well, we can't really do anything else. Also, have you seen the price of the pints where I drink?
No, much harder. Much as a pint.
They're nearly £7. They're nearly as much as Dublin.
Yeah, it is expensive.
That's disgraceful, isn't it? Christ almighty. About 15 years ago in Temple Bar, and it was about £7.50. What? It's more expensive than London.
That's why when you're in Dublin, you stay away from the Temple Bar.
Well, we always stay near the Temple Bar. We normally stay at U2's place called the Clarence. But I think actually they might have sold it. But the problem with staying in Temple Bar is don't expect to get to sleep.
Yeah.
In a place, it is like New York. It's a city that doesn't sleep. But it's a fabulous atmosphere. But no, it is. Do not go to and drink in Temple Bar without a mortgage. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Simon, what's next for the band after this year's shows? You know, you mentioned
hopefully an album, because I don't know what we're doing next year. I suspect that we won't be doing a great deal live, because we're playing all through. We're playing obviously this tour that we're doing, playing all through the summer. Then me and Oscar are going off in October. I don't know if I suspect Paul will be doing something. So I think that to come next year, we'll have to have some kind of hiatus, which will give us an opportunity to do something new, and then perhaps then do the pantomime tour, which we normally do in December, which we're not doing this year. So yeah, so an album and then pantomime. I'll be Buttons.
It's been well over 10 years since you released an album, which was the Painting album, but you're still playing gigs and they're still around. So after all these years, what does the loyalty of your fans mean to you?
Everything. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. Yeah, and some of the stories they tell us, you know, I mean, they come up to show me photographs of a headstone with my lyrics on it. Their brother, who was a big fan, who died, you know, he's our lad. He's named after you, you know, and he's a tattoo on my arm. It's of your signature. And he just goes on and on and on and on. And it's endlessly surprising and rewarding, I guess, to think that actually we've done something with our lives that has brought, a lot of fun to other people. And we've had a lot of fun ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, Simon, we'll leave it there. Let's be finished. Thank you.
Lovely. Yeah, well, thanks, Mark. That was lovely.
No problem. I look forward to seeing you in April in Belfast at the Ulster Hall.
Yeah, come and say hello. Cheers.
Definitely will.
Thanks.
All right, Simon, take it easy.
Cheers. And yourself. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.